This is topic 10-2, making connections, linear functions. If you would like to check your answers to the assignment of 10-1, you should pause the video now and check your answers. Our objective for today is I can formulate and use linear functions. So our essential question is going to be, how can I formulate and use linear functions? Today we're going to be talking about how can I get my equations in the form y equals mx plus b. That's the linear function we're dealing with. And then how can we use that in order to answer the questions? So our first equation is negative 2x plus 4y equals 8, and we want to get it into slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept form is the y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope and b is the y-intercept. So we must take the equation given and solve for y. We want it in the form of y equals something times x plus something. I'm going to box in the number that's with the coefficient that's with the y, that's the 4, positive 4, and now we're going to solve for y. We'll see that the 8 is already on the same side of the equal sign, so we'll drop that 8 into the last blank. We need to move the 2x and minus 2x to the other side, so we're going to add 2x. This means on my other side, I'm going to have a positive 2 in front of that x. Last, we need to get rid of the number that's with the y. We have 4 times y, so to get rid of it, we're going to divide by 4. That means everything on the right side is going to be divided by 4. We have now solved for y, and now we're going to simplify our fractions. This will give us y equals 1/2 x plus 8 divided by 4 is 2. Here's our equation. This tells us m equals 1/2 and b is equal to 2. Now we're going to fill in our table. To fill in the table, you're going to need your calculator. The nice thing about having your equation in y equals mx plus b form is that now we can use the calculator in order to help us out. We have a y equals button on the calculator. We will now type in the equation that we came up with. Our fraction we put in parentheses, so it's 1 divided by 2 in parentheses times x and then plus 2. Since we're looking at the table, we want to get numbers for our table. We'll hit the second button, and then right above the graph, you'll see table, and this will bring up a table of values. Now we're going to use this table in order to help us to graph it. So when we choose our numbers to put into the table, we want to choose numbers that are going to be easy to graph. So the first thing we did was we put in our equation into y1, and then we did second graph. For our table, I'm going to choose negative 2 because it has a nice pretty number of a 1. Notice if I had chosen negative 3, I'd be dealing with a decimal, and I don't want a decimal. My next number that gives me a nice number without a decimal is 0. So when x is equal to 0, y is equal to 2. And x is equal to 2, y is equal to 3. I'm going to go ahead and fill in more. X is equal to 4, y is equal to 4. And when x is equal to 6, y is equal to 5. Again, we chose numbers that will give us easy things to graph. Now that we have our table filled in, we can use these numbers in order to graph the equation. So using the graph, we see our x coordinate is negative 2, y coordinate is positive 1. We have a point there. X is 0, y is 2. X is 2, y is 3. When x is 4, y is 4. And when x is 6, y is, let me get that right, y is 4. And when x is 6, y is 5. If I look, I can kind of see a pattern. I'm going up 1 and to the right 2, so I can still follow that pattern in order to get the rest of my dots. Or go down 1 to the left 2. Again, to get the rest of my dots. Down 1 to the left 2. And now I can connect the dots and we have our line. The verbal description on the graph of the function, when the value of x increases by blank units, the value of y does what by blank units. And so I will look at my graph and see between my points as x increases, I'm going to look the 2 points between 2 points that I have on the graph. So x increased by 2 units in order to get to that point. My y value also increased by 1 unit. That means as I moved 2 units to the right, which is a positive direction, I had to move 1 unit up, which is a positive direction. This can also be related to our slope. If I look at the equation, y equals 1/2 x plus 2, we see that the slope is equal to 1/2. Remember that the slope is the change in y over the change in x. So how far you rise over how far you run. So this tells me that my x, my change in x is 2. That gives us the increase by 2. The change in y, which is the number at the top, that's 1. We see because it's positive, it increased by 1. Now let's use this information in order to answer the questions that follows. I'm going to start by writing my original equation again. Y equals 1/2 x plus 2. We know that the slope is 1/2 and the y-intercept is 2. Now we're going to write a new equation. If the slope of this line is multiplied by -1 and is translated down by 2 units, what is the linear equation that represents this change? So the slope is multiplied by -1. I'll look at my original slope was 1/2. I will now multiply it by -1, and so my new slope is a -1/2. To be translated down by 2 units, that means the y-intercept moved down 2 units. So if I start with my original y-intercept was at 2, I translated down, down is negative, so it gives me 2 minus 2 is 0. My new y-intercept is 0. So my new equation, when I plug it into the y equals mx plus b form, we're going to get y equals, my new slope is -1/2 times x, and then my new y-intercept is 0. So I can write this as y equals -1/2 x. Now, how does this graph of -4x plus 2y equals 8 compare to the original graph? So we're going to look at -4x plus 2y equals 8. Our original was -2x plus 4y equals 8. And we solved that and got y equals 1/2 x plus 2. So let's see how this new one looks. We want to solve it for y equals. So y equals blank x plus blank. We'll box in the coefficient with the y. The 8 still drops down. The 4x is -4x is we're going to add 4x, so that means the number in front of the x on the right is a positive 4. And last, we need to divide by 2 to get the y by itself, so everything on the right is divided by 2. This leaves us with y equals 2x plus 4. So we can see that these are not the same equations. We have a slope of 2 now and a y-intercept of 4, whereas previously we had a slope of 1/2 and a y-intercept of 2. So based upon this information, we are now going to answer the questions and see if they're true or false. The slope of the original graph is steeper, so we need to compare slopes. Our new slope is equal to 2. Our original slope is equal to 1/2. So to be steeper is the one that has the bigger number. We'll see that the original slope is less, so this is false. Okay, because the original slope is smaller. Okay, the bigger your slope is, the steeper the graph. So number 2, the slope of the original graph is less steep. So again, it's asking the slope of the original. Again, my new slope is 2. The original is 1/2. This is saying the original is less steep, which means that slope should be, the number, the value should be less than the new, and so this one is true. See, the original graph has a greater y-intercept. So I'm looking at the y-intercepts. My y-intercept for my new is 4. My y-intercept for the original is 2. So is my original greater? This is false. D, the original graph has a smaller y-intercept. Again, the new y-intercept is 4. The original y-intercept is 2. So is the original y-intercept smaller? This is true. Number 3, what are the intercepts of the original graph? So the intercepts, we're looking for the x-intercept and the y-intercept. The x-intercept, when we talk about the x-intercept, it is where it crosses the x-axis, and at that point your y-coordinate is 0. The y-intercept is where it crosses the y-axis, and at that point your x-coordinate is 0. So we have our equation, which was y equals 1/2 x plus 2. And we can get our y-intercept just from that equation because our b is equal to 2, so our y-intercept is 0, 2. To get the x-intercept, we can look at our graph and see if it is actually plotted on the graph. And sure enough, I can see on my graph that the x-intercept is where it crosses the x-axis at -4. So that x-coordinate for the x-intercept is -4. If for some reason you were not able to find it on the graph, another way that you can do this is recognizing if my y equals 0, I'm trying to figure out what x is. I'm going to go back to the original equation, -2x plus 4y equals 8. Because now I'm going to replace the y with 0, because we know that y is equal to 0. 4 times 0 is 0, disappears. We're left with -2x equals 8, and when we solve, we get that x is equal to -4. So another way of figuring out what the x-intercept. Number 4, we're going to write the equation of a line that passes through the point and has the same slope as the original graph. So we want an equation of the line in the form y equals mx plus b. What we're given is a point of 4 and 7. This tells you that your x-coordinate is 4 and your y-coordinate is 7. You also know a slope, and our slope is the same as the original of 1/2. So we are going to now substitute 7 in for y. Our slope is 1/2. X is equal to 4, and we're going to solve for b. We have 7 equals 1/2 times 4 is 2 plus b. We want to get the b by itself. This means we need to get rid of the 2, so we'll subtract 2 from both sides. We're left with 5 equals to b. So now we know that b is equal to 5. We can now plug that back into our formula and get our equation. Y equals 1/2 x plus 5. Number 5, we have if we have 6y as a point on the graph of the original function, what is the value of y? So we are given the point 6y. This means x is equal to 6, and we need to figure out what is y equal to. So let's use our equation. We can use either the original equation or the one we put in slope-intercept form. So we're going to plug in 6 for x and solve for y. Notice on the right-hand side, all of these are numbers, so you can type that into your calculator or you can solve it on your own. 1/2 times 6, this is 3. 3 plus 2 gives us 5. So we know when x equals to 6, our y is equal to 5. So our answer could look like an ordered pair, or the answer could be in the form of just tell me what y is equal to. Number 6, we're going to complete the following statement for the equation. So we are given an equation, y equals 2/3 x minus 6. And here our m is 2/3. Notice this is a positive slope, and so that means that our line is going to be increasing. That tells you the top number, again, represents how the y changes. The bottom number tells you the change in x. So our change in x is equal to 3. Our change in y is equal to 2. So as the value of x increases, as it is positive, by 3 units, then the value of y, because it is positive, increases by 2 units. So in summary, we formulated and used linear equations. We got our equation in the form y equals mx plus b. We knew that m was our slope and b was our y-intercept. And from that, we were able to use that equation to do various things. I'll leave you to complete your summary. This concludes the topic